Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Much appreciated you taking a little time out of your day to watch the video. And got a little bit of a different video today. We're going to talk about some things that has been on my mind a lot as far as what I see the probable and possible futures of the sport of bass fishing moving forward looks like. I think about this a lot because, I love the sport as much as anybody out there. And as you get older, you start reflecting back on some stuff. And you start looking forward to, what you're going to leave behind here at some point, down to our future generations that will have the waters to fish that we do right now. So I think about this stuff a lot. And I wanted to have a discussion because I think it's a topic worth discussing. And I just sort of want to go over what I consider what's going to happen to the sport of fishing if we stay on the current path that we're on. As a society in this country particularly. So I'm just going to sort of go through a little bit what I think here. One of the things I see happening as a probable reality in the sport is we're going to love the sport to death. We have a limited and a finite amount of water here, lakes and rivers. We're not building any more lakes. It's sort of what we have is sort of what we got. And the fishing quality that you have on a lake is sort of directly related to the fishing pressure that lake gets. And we get more and more fishing pressure on our lakes all the time. I've seen it when I started fishing 40 years ago. We had a fraction of the people on the water that we do now. And you put another 40 years on that, and you can imagine what we're going to have. And there's going to be a direct connection in the quality of fishing versus that pressure that we have. And this is a difficult thing because we're always talking about encouraging people to fish and encouraging people to get out in nature and getting young people fishing. But at some point, I hate to say it, but at some point you have to say, we can't have any more people out there. It's like, I don't want to put it in that sense, but at some point you have to just say, it's almost like too many people in an amusement park. They have limits to how many people that can be in an amusement park at one time. And it's sort of the same deal with lakes and rivers around the country. Eventually it gets to a point where the amount of fishing pressure that you have on a lake directly affects the quality of fishing that you're going to have, or the fishery in itself. And one of the things about this that I see leading to that is once this precipice is reached, where you start having the level of fishing pressure where the fishing pressure starts to decline, that is when you start having a loss of interest in the sport. It's almost like you're going to I see this sport getting to a point of which where people just say, it's just not worth it. I don't want to sit in a line to launch my boat for 2 hours, and I don't want to get out on the lake and have a boat on every single point and get out there and fish all day long and maybe get one bite. Eventually it gets to that point, and then you start having a decline in the fishery, and then maybe it gets back to where it started out. I don't really know what the answer is to that, but that is one of the things that I see happening. Hold on, guys, I gotta stop. Sage is barking in there. I gotta get her square. That, guys, I'm back. I had to totally restart this video from the start because Elijah came in here and was bouncing the ball, and then I started it again and Sage was barking because somebody left a package up front. So having a hard time getting through this video today. So anyway, back to the point I was making. I don't know what the answer is to that. If you're talking about, we get to the point where the sport we're going to love the sport to death, and then as a result, the people don't want to fish anymore because the fishing sucks so bad. It's sort of something that I see as inevitable. I don't really see that particular reality changing at some point. I don't know how long it's going to take, but I do see it going down like that. The next possible reality I see too, in regards to our fishing, is pollution. This is something that gets swept under the rug a lot, and I have seen it myself in the course of my lifetime as far as the lakes and rivers across the country getting polluted, whether it be spraying chemicals on the stuff in Florida, whether it be mercury contamination in our lakes from the coal-fired power plants, whether it be point source pollution from these companies and factories that have these mysterious pipes running into the lakes and rivers, agricultural and residential runoff, fertilizers, all this type of stuff that's degrading the water quality. Unless we start having some politicians in power that aren't beholding to the companies that pollute and subsidized by the companies that pollute, and until we get some politicians that have some backbone and integrity to pass strong environmental protection legislation, I see the quality of our fishing being degraded tremendously through pollution. And I'm not sure how long this is going to take, but when you're talking about pollution, it's not just the bass. You're talking about the entire ecosystem is affected. You're talking about the plankton and the zooplankton, the insects that the perch eat, that the bass eat, that there's an entire delicate balance of life that is affected by different sources of pollution. And once you remove one chain in that balance, the entire ecosystem is affected. Again, to what level that is going to be, or what the length of time that is going to be, I'm not sure what that is. I really don't know, but I see that as a big problem, and one that's very correctable too. Another aspect is technology. You guys, we've talked about this before as far as the exploding technology in fishing. I see this going a couple different ways. At some point, people are just going to get fed up with technology getting to the point where it's everything about fishing that people were attracted to is no longer fishing. Again, I don't really know what this looks like, but at the current rate that we see it, I don't see any type of brakes being put on it. It's full bore ahead, no regulations whatsoever as far as technology and fishing. And eventually, I think at some point, we're going to see technology get to the point where people are just turned off it by a little bit. And as a result, again, I'm not sure exactly how it's going to go down, but I do see that as a possibility. So given that, the one things that I'm talking about here, that doesn't paint a very rosy picture for the sport that moving forward. But the thing about that, and the thing that I want to leave you guys with here, all this is in our hands. We can change every single bit of this. I mean, there's not a single aspect of it that we can't change if we decide to do that. The thing about it is you have to have people in the positions of power that make the right decisions, and they do the right things, not for profit or greed or power or whatever. They have to do it for the sustainability of our resource that we have. And we don't have hardly any people in positions of power like that. And I'm talking about everybody from the tournament directors all the way up to corporate CEOs to politicians that design and pass legislation. Everybody involved with that has got to come together to some point. And conservation doesn't do enough. You hear a lot of guys like Johnny Morris and different people that are big conservationists, but conservation efforts fall short when it comes to environmental efforts, because it doesn't make any difference how you conserve the habitat or create habitat or whatever. If you don't address that's the symptom of the problem. If you don't address the root problem that's causing those conservation issues, then it's a waste of time to focus efforts on conservation. So we have to have some people in the position of power that can look at this thing and say, look, if we continue on this path, this is what we're going to experience. This is what we've seen. We've seen the data, we've seen the facts, we've seen the scientific evidence. This is the direction we're headed in. We need to change course, and this is what we need to do on that. Unfortunately, in today's society, that usually gets swept under the rug because it's not a popular opinion, because people don't like to sacrifice. People don't like to, be told what to do. People don't like to be inconvenienced. So I'm not real optimistic on that end of it. But I think the main thing about it is you just have to keep bringing it to everybody's attention. And one of the things that I always look back on is not all, but some of the Native American tribes, one of the reasons they were able to live on this planet for thousands of years with the landscape not even being altered whatsoever is before they took actions for whatever it was going to be, a lot of them had asked themselves, how is this going to affect the next generation down the road? It's like, 200 years from now or whatever, if I take this action, what effect is it going to have to people down the road? And if it was positive in their mind, that they would go through with that. But if it's something that they thought was going to affect the next generation negatively, they didn't take that action. We don't have that in this country. We are very short-sighted in our policy making, in our decision making, in our legislation. And that's not a recipe for long-term sustainability. So anyway, guys, that's just the video. Didn't want it to make it sound like a downer on the thing. It's just sort of a dose of reality. The best thing, the bright thing it is, all this can be changed. Like I said, we just have to be a voice of positive change and sustainability in the sport, because man, I love it. I want to see the sport, be sustainable and, great for everybody down the road. It's been so good to me and people in the past, but we are at a point in our as a collective society. It's not like it was 60, 100 years from now. We are at a point now where we have got to make some difficult decisions if we're going to maintain that sustainability moving forward. So anyway, just a few thoughts for today, guys. Let me know what you guys think about it. Be much appreciated to hear you guys' feedback, and we'll tune in later. See you.